and welcome to Coaster Kurt's commentary. This video is a little introduction to me and a recap of everything I did and experienced in 2025. It is the longest video that I have made to date, so grab yourself a snack, something to drink, and secure your lap bars, because we're going for a ride. But first, I'm going to introduce you to my cat. This is Oliver. Hopefully he will be making appearances in my videos. He is a paid actor. He is paid to love me and paid to get views. Mums, and then he doesn't like it. I love you. I wanted to film this video as a 2025 recap because a lot of things happened in 2025. And I wanted to film this video as kind of an introduction to me, who I am, what my experience with roller coasters and theme parks is, and what to expect from this channel in the future. If I want to introduce myself, I have to start back when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, I do remember going to different theme parks and really enjoying them and having a great time. I remember going to Six Flags Over Texas a couple of times. I remember going to Six Flags Astro World. I've also been to Disney World and Universal Studios in Orlando. I remember having a great time at all of those theme parks, really enjoying the rides. I never thought that it would really be this much of a passion for me, but in 2025, that all kind of changed. If I want to talk about 2025, we got to talk about 2023 real quick. In 2023, my life was turned completely upside down. I was going through some very deep, dark depression, anxiety. I was having daily panic attacks. I was not able to do any of the things that I wanted to do. I was not really able to live my life the way that I wanted to live my life. I was kind of a broken person. Pretty much the entire year of 2023 was me just recovering and trying to be a normal person again. I got myself into therapy. I sought out the help that I needed, and I got the help that I needed. Big shout out to my best friend, Will Southern, for really pushing me into getting that help. Thank you very much. I am pretty sure you saved my life. Towards the end of 2023, things were starting to look a little bit better. I was feeling better. I was doing better. 2024 was a rebuilding year for me. In March of 24, I moved back into my own place and I was a more stable person. I got a decent job where I was satisfied with my job and able to provide for myself and kind of get back into what I would consider more of a normal life and get back to who I am as a person and really be able to do a few of the things that I wanted to do. My depression was kind of still lingering, but not really taking over my life. My panic attacks were gone. My anxiety was kind of brought down quite a bit. I learned how to deal with a lot of things. I gained a lot of tools through therapy. Therapy is very important. If you have any question about it, just go to therapy. And by the end of 2024, I was working a different, better job, bartending. I'm a bartender. I've been bartending for a very long time. So I have a lot of experience with people and interacting with different people. I was in a good place. I was feeling a lot better. I felt pretty much back to my normal self, but there was still kind of something missing, and there was still just a little bit of lingering depression, and seasonal depression is rampant in the service industry. It's kind of our slow season. Money might be a little bit tight in the winter times. Luckily, I work a job now where we host a lot of different events and Christmas parties, so wintertime isn't as much of a strain on our pocketbook. At the beginning of 2025, January, February, and into March, we're kind of still in our slow season, but in mid-March, there's this little thing called South by Southwest. South by Southwest comes along and brings about 250,000 people into Austin. What that means for bartenders is that we make a lot of money. In a 2-week span, we make a ton of money. All that money you weren't making during the slow season, here comes South by, and boom, you're right back on top. You're making money. In April, so just after South by Southwest, I realized I had quite a bit of funds. I saw that I had about 4 days off of work. Again, there was still just a little bit of that lingering depression, and I wasn't really feeling like I was back to myself yet, but I was feeling great, feeling good, just not quite there. I woke up one morning and realized I had extra funds. I had 4 days off work. I was like, okay, let's get out. Let's go do something. And I kind of wanted to like get out of Austin. So I used Google Flights, which is an excellent tool to look at flight deals, find the cheapest flights, find the easiest flights. I love using Google Flights. I use it all the time when I'm booking flights for travel. I opened up the map on Google Flights to see what is the cheapest flight flying out the next day and where is it going. One of the cheapest ones that I found was flying into John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana, California. I was like, oh, what they got over there? What's around there? There's this little thing called Disneyland. I had never been to California before, and I had never been to Disneyland before. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been to Walt Disney World 3 times. I said, okay, that's what we're doing. So that night, I booked my flight, my hotel, my tickets to Disneyland. I got the Lightning Lane, I got the 2-park hopper, and I booked everything at 10 p.m. Sunday night, and I was on a flight at 6 a.m. Monday morning. I booked a super cheap hotel within walking distance to the park. I went by myself. I love traveling solo. When I travel solo and when I go to theme parks solo, there's nobody there to slow me down, and I am moving. I am moving from ride to ride. I always have a Lightning Lane or Flash Pass or Fast Lane. I think I rode more than 24 different attractions that day. I went to Disneyland and I went to Disney's California Adventure, and I had an amazing time. The theming, the landscaping, everything about those parks is incredible, top tier. They are the big dogs for a reason. For me, Disneyland was kind of lacking a little bit on those like major thrill rides, and especially roller coasters. Those parks are built for like families and kids, and they have some very exciting, good rides there, but not as much as I wanted to ride. I did do Giga-coaster, which was great. It's one of the best roller coasters in the world. It's one of the longest roller coasters in the world, and it was great. I loved it. But all that did for me was get me hooked on roller coasters. So after I got back from Disneyland, I was like, okay, how do I get my fix for roller coasters? Six Flags Fiesta Texas is right down the road from my apartment. It's about an hour and 20-minute drive. So I bought a season pass to Six Flags Fiesta Texas. I opted for the Prestige Pass, which was their top tier pass. It was $175, I think, after taxes and everything. If I'm gonna spend that much money on a pass, I'm gonna do everything I can to get my money's worth out of it. So I was like, okay, we gotta go at least once a month during the summer, and then that also includes Fright Fest and Holiday in the Park, so we're gonna have to do all those things. So I make a plan to visit as much as possible. I did quite a few trips with friends. My friend Cassie and Anthony went with me on my first trip to Six Flags, and we had a great time. Still have a photo of us in like the Western old-timey photos. I rode every roller coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, except Batgirl Coaster Chase, but I did that one later. In May, I visited Fiesta Texas 2 times, and then in June, I visited Fiesta Texas 3 times. At the end of June, my sister had invited me to her 4th of July party in the North Dallas area. If I'm going up there to visit my sister, I might as well try to go to Six Flags Over Texas. My sister and brother-in-law have a 3-year-old. They're great parents. They dedicate a lot of time to their 3-year-old. My sister had kind of told me that they haven't really had a lot of opportunities to like go out and do something fun as just adults. I knew my mom and dad were also gonna be visiting during the 4th of July holiday. So I said, look, we have an extra day. Mom and dad are gonna be there. They can watch the baby. I had a few bring a friend for free passes, and they were down. Well, at the time, my Fiesta Texas Six Flags pass only worked at Fiesta Texas, but I could buy the All Parks passport in order to use some of my Bring a Friend for Free tickets, I did the math, I did a spreadsheet on it. I'm a big data analytics nerd, so I have a spreadsheet for like everything. I'll show you later my coaster credits spreadsheet. It's a little insane, but it's really cool. I love it. So I used a cost analysis spreadsheet to determine that it was cheaper for me to buy the All Parks passport to get admission to Six Flags Over Texas and use my Bring a Friend for Free tickets on my sister and brother-in-law. So that's what I did. And we had a great time. We had a great day at Six Flags Over Texas. Since I purchased that All Parks passport, that kind of sort of opened up like a whole new world of theme parks that I had admission to. Six Flags and Cedar Fair merged in 2024. So now my season pass with the All Parks passport gave me access to over 40 different parks across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. While I was at my sister's house for that 4th of July weekend, I had a lot more time off of work, and I went ahead and just booked another flight very last minute. I went to Charlotte in North Carolina to go to Carowinds, just south of Charlotte. Shout out Will again. Will Southern now lives in North Carolina, and his beautiful, amazing fiance, soon to be wife, they came to Charlotte, about a 2-hour drive, to pick me up from the airport, and we went and had dinner together. They are some of my best friends. And again, like I said earlier, Will really pushed me and encouraged me to get that help that I needed back in 2023. And it was great to see him again, you know, kind of show him like, hey, I'm back. I'm feeling great. We're doing good. We're riding roller coasters, we're traveling, we're going to theme parks. I'm totally back to myself now. And I really appreciate him driving 2 hours to pick me up at the airport, have dinner with me, and he dropped me off at my hotel. It was great seeing them. While I was at Carowinds, I rode every available roller coaster that I could ride. Kitty Hawk was closed, bummer. I really kind of wanted to get on that one, but it was closed the entire time I was there. I rode Fury 325, which is the tallest, longest, fastest roller coaster that uses a standard lift hill in the world. Fury 325 has won the golden ticket for best steel roller coaster for 10 years in a row now. I love that ride. I got 8 rides on it during my 2-day visit to Carowinds. While I was there, or right before my trip, I discovered an app called Log Ride. And on Log Ride, you can log your rides. You keep track of all the different attractions that you've done, all the different parks that you've been to. You get trip reports at the end of the day. They give you stats like how many miles you've gone on a roller coaster, top speeds. They give you all the information about different roller coasters. I highly recommend it. Log Ride is really cool. Through Log Ride, I discovered this thing called coaster credits and counting coaster credits. It's this thing that enthusiasts do to kind of like say, these are all the different roller coasters that I have ridden. And it's kind of like a challenge, like you're collecting coaster credits. It's really fun. I have a video explaining that and what counts as a credit, what doesn't count as a credit. It's really just a hobby. There's no trophies. There's nothing special. You don't get anything out of it except like a little bit of satisfaction. Sure, you can brag about it if you want to. That's great. I probably will brag about it, but like nobody really cares. You know, it's just fun to do. And you know, you can talk about it with other enthusiasts and compare your different coaster credits. If you want like a detailed description of how many roller coasters I've ridden this year, please go check out my other video where I give a detailed road on how I got to over 100 credits in 2025. But it all kind of started kicking off with that trip to Carowinds. Because with that, I realized like, okay, that's like the second time that I've gotten a really cheap flight last minute, and I could feasibly do this like once a month. I could go travel somewhere, ride roller coasters, add to my coaster credit counting, and have a great time and travel the country. So I said, okay, what's next? Where am I going next? Where does my All Parks passport get me in? 40 different parks across the country. Where do I want to go? So I have to make what kind of feels like a pilgrimage for roller coaster enthusiasts. I went to Cedar Point It's nicknamed the roller coaster capital of the world. They have 18 roller coasters. It's one of the best parks in the country. It's very unique. They have some of the tallest and fastest rides, some of the most historic rides. They had a lot of coasters that broke world records when they opened them. Magnum XL 200 started what was called the roller coaster wars in 1990s. Magnum XL opened in 89, and then in the 90s we saw this huge boom of big, fast, giant roller coasters. So Magnum XL 200 was like the first roller coaster over 200 feet tall. Cedar Point also has Millennium Force, which was the first Giga-coaster, which is a coaster over 300 feet tall. So Cedar Point was definitely a good choice. While I was in Ohio, I rented a car, and it was the cheapest car I could find on Turo. It just so happened to be like a hot pink Jeep Wrangler. So I called it my Barbie Jeep. I flew in, landed in Cleveland. Sandusky is about an hour away. Sandusky is where Cedar Point is. So I picked up the Jeep at the Cleveland airport, drove to Sandusky. I spent 2 days at Cedar Point, and I was debating, like, there's another park in Ohio called Kings Island, and it's down south in Cincinnati. It's about a 3.5 hour drive away from Sandusky and Cedar Point. So I was debating with myself, should I do it? Should I not do it? What does the weather look like? And I finally just told myself, look, when are you ever gonna be in Ohio again? I had already booked my hotel for 4 nights in Sandusky. So if I was gonna do Kings Island, it was gonna be wake up early in the morning, drive to Kings Island, get there for opening, stay till closing, and then drive late night back to Sandusky. And I just said, just do it, just go. So I went to Kings Island and rode 14 roller coasters at Kings Island. I loved it, it was amazing. Kings Island is a great park. I really wanna go to their like twin sister park, Kings Dominion. It is on my list for next year. I have some exciting announcements for next year, so be sure to pay attention, subscribe to my channel so you can keep up with all of my 2026 adventures. Lots of things happening next year. It's gonna be fun, you don't wanna miss it. So I went to Cedar Point, went to Kings Island, got a bunch of new coaster credits, and had a great time. I was cruising around Sandusky in a hot pink Barbie Jeep, and on Spotify, I played the Barbie movie soundtrack the entire time as I was cruising around. I was just rocking, having a great time, dancing, singing. Had a great time in Ohio. It was amazing. After Kings Island and Cedar Point, I was at like 63 coaster credits for the year. In between all of these major trips that I was doing, I was also visiting Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. I'm gonna run down the list of park visits towards the end of the video. There was another small little park right outside of San Antonio called ZDT's, and I knew that they were closing down soon. I wanted to go visit them, but I really couldn't like find the time to do it. But it just so happened to align that I was off work on a Sunday, and it just so happened to be their final day of operation. I randomly, accidentally woke up early that Sunday, and I was like, hey, I can drive down to Seguin and go to ZDT's, ride Switchback. It's a very unique roller coaster. It was the world's only wooden shuttle roller coaster, which is a roller coaster that goes through its layout, up a spike, and then does the layout in reverse. It was also technically classified as the world's steepest wooden roller coaster because that spike was at like 87.5 degrees, I believe. So it's a very unique roller coaster to get to ride, and it was pretty much in my backyard. I'm really happy that I got that credit on Switchback. After riding Switchback at ZDT's and finally getting in Batgirl Coaster Chase at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, I started to realize that I had quite a lot of coaster credits. So I was like, let's keep this train rolling. Where are we going next? Where can I get the most roller coasters in one trip? So naturally, I went to the Six Flags park with the most roller coasters in the world, Six Flags Magic Mountain. I went to Six Flags Magic Mountain, then I went south down to Knott's Berry Farm, Heard a lot about that park. It was a great time. I spent 2 days at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I got most of the roller coasters in on the first day, and then on the second day I had a flash pass. There's a few rides at Six Flags Magic Mountain, like the Magic Flyer. You can't ride that as an adult. Speedy Gonzales roller coaster, you are not allowed to ride that unless you are accompanying a child. So there were a couple that I didn't get, but I got everything that I could. At Knott's Berry Farm, I rode every roller coaster that was open. Montezuma's Revenge is down for refurbishments, so I was not able to ride that one. This LA trip, I was kind of all over the place. I planned everything out pretty well to avoid LA traffic, and surprisingly, it worked out really well. I landed at Burbank and got my rental car and drove up to Santa Clarita and went to Six Flags Magic Mountain, got checked into a hotel up there. Next day, I checked out of that hotel, went back to Six Flags Magic Mountain, and then I was headed south to go to my hotel at Knott's Berry Farm. Six Flags Magic Mountain closed at like 6 p.m. So going from Magic Mountain towards downtown LA was not that bad at that time of day. So I stopped, made a pit stop at the Abbey in West Hollywood. The Abbey was the bar that inspired Pink Pony Club, so I had to visit that. I had myself an apple martini while I was there, felt real fancy. Hopped around to a couple of other bars in West Hollywood. I did all that to wait on the LA traffic to die down. And it was perfect. It worked out just right. So from West Hollywood down to Anaheim, no traffic. Woke up the next morning and went to Knott's Berry Farm, knocked out a whole bunch of roller coasters, had a great day. And Knott's Berry Farm closed at 6. And I think at like 6:30, there was a Los Angeles Angels game. And Knott's Berry Farm and Angels Stadium are pretty close to each other. I found some really cheap tickets, got a really good seat in the outfield. I was on the very front row, right above right field. I had a great time. Fun fact, Angels Stadium has the cheapest beer in baseball. You can get yourself a 12-ounce Coors Light or Coors Banquet for $4.50. After the Angels game, I drove over to my next hotel in Santa Monica because the next morning I wanted to wake up and go to the beach, and I rented some rollerblades and rollerbladed up and down Santa Monica Beach. And I was really close to Santa Monica Pier and went to this little thing called Pacific Park. They have one roller coaster out there. It's not very long, exciting, or thrilling, or intense, but it's very unique in the fact that it actually goes out over the Pacific Ocean. So I really wanted to get that credit just because of how unique it is. I will say though that I haven't rollerbladed in a long time, and rollerblading up and down that beach boardwalk was really an intense workout, but it's one of those things, I just had to do it. So after that crazy morning at the Santa Monica Pier, I had a very special plan for that evening. I got tickets to Jimmy Kimmel Live. So I got these tickets about a week ahead of time, 2 days before my trip. Jimmy Kimmel got cut off the air for an indefinite amount of time. I was really bummed out because I was so excited to go watch Jimmy Kimmel Live in the studio. That Monday, while I was at Six Flags Magic Mountain, a friend of mine sent me an article. It was like, Jimmy Kimmel's back. And I was like, what? Stop everything. I sat down at a picnic table and like searched and double checked, and was like, sure enough, Jimmy Kimmel was back on the air. His first show back was Tuesday night, and then I was at the show on Wednesday night. So I was at his second show back on air, and it was an experience for sure. It was amazing. I had a great time. At one point during his monologue, he was reading one of Trump's tweets about Jimmy Kimmel, and Trump was basically like talking shit about Jimmy Kimmel and said that his audience is never there. And I piped up and I said, we're right here, Jimmy. And then Jimmy's response was,
shut the up. The freedom of speech is only for me.
Jimmy Kimmel told me to
Shut the f up.
It was incredible. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't get kicked out. Nobody even came up and said anything to me. But there for like a few minutes, I was like, oh my God, I just interrupted his monologue. They're gonna be really mad at me. They're gonna kick me out. No, none of that happened. Jimmy turned it into a joke and a lot of people laughed at it. So it was good. It was funny. But Jimmy Kimmel told me to shut the up. That's crazy. After Jimmy Kimmel, I spent the rest of the night in Hollywood, just walking around. I walked up and down the Hollywood Walk of Fame, took pictures of a bunch of different stars, of people that I love, you know. I had dinner at Raoul's, the spaghetti sauce, yes, yeah. They have really nice restaurants. Their original restaurant in New York City, I think, is over 100 years old. But it was like my last night in LA, and I was like, I'm gonna go out and have like a really nice dinner tonight. So I went to Raoul's and it was incredible. I had so much fun out in LA. I had people telling me like, oh, that's the trip of a lifetime. You're having the time of your life. And I'm like, yeah, I'm having a really great time right now, but I hope it's not the time of my life. I hope that it just gets better from here. That's the plan, you know? Go out, have a great time. Next time you go out and do something else, when you travel, have a better time. And I feel like that's what I've been doing pretty much all year. So after my LA trip, I was at 91 roller coaster credits. I was thinking like, whoa, reaching 100 credits this year is totally possible. So I started searching around Texas, around Austin area, and I was like, okay, what roller coasters have I not ridden? There's this little thing called SeaWorld. SeaWorld San Antonio has 6 roller coasters. So I ended up buying a season pass to SeaWorld. It's good for the next 12 months, so it'll be good through October of 26. And that gets me into 11 different parks around the country. Stay tuned for 2026. We're gonna be visiting some Busch Gardens parks. More on that later. On my first visit to SeaWorld San Antonio, since I bought their Platinum Pass, I got to have like one free animal experience. I met a girl, her name is Chrissy. She's about 20 years old and she weighs over 1,000 pounds and she's very athletic. Yeah, so I got to swim with a beluga whale. We weren't really swimming, we were like wading in their pool, but they swam up to us and we got to interact with them, we got to pet them. Chrissy gave me a kiss. So I was like, what are we? What's happening here? You're kissing me? Like I just met you, but okay. I swam with belugas. 2025 is crazy. I went to SeaWorld San Antonio 3 different times during October. They were closing at like 5 or 6 p.m. On my way back one evening, I said, hey, let me stop in New Braunfels and see if my friends are out doing anything. And my friend Katie and Drew were hosting a bingo night that started at 7 o'clock. Pretty much perfect timing for me to stop, hang out, play bingo, get to see some of my friends. Well, there was one week, Drew was gonna be out of town. Katie asked me if I wanted to help her co-host a bingo night. So there was one Thursday night in New Braunfels that I helped co-host a bingo night. It was so much fun and it was really cool. I won a couple of different prizes on other nights that I wasn't hosting. Bingo has been a really cool way for me to like get more like friend interaction into my life, especially with Katie. Katie really helped me out a lot back in 2023. We were both kind of going through some stuff. It's really nice to see me and her both like, we're back. We are so back. Yeah, it's just nice to hang out with my friends. Later in early November, I bought tickets to a Dallas Cowboys game. I grew up watching Dallas Cowboys games with my grandpa. The Dallas Cowboys were his favorite team. The Dallas Cowboys play on every Thanksgiving Day, and we would always spend Thanksgiving Day at my grandparents' house watching those games with my grandpa. That's the reason I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Dallas Cowboys for life, DC4L. For the Cowboys game, I decided, you know, if this is my first Cowboys game, it may or may not be the only Cowboys game I ever go to. So I put on a whole outfit with face paint and everything. I made a bunch of posters. Sadly, our seating section was at the very top. The cameras really couldn't see me. So I tried to get on TV with my posters, but I was way too far up and it just wasn't gonna happen. Oliver's hair is flying everywhere. What are you doing, buddy? You trying to be in my video? Oh, listen to that purr. Yeah. Okay, let Daddy finish his video, okay? Hair everywhere. Had a great time at the Cowboys game. So after SeaWorld San Antonio, I was at like 97 credits. There were a few roller coasters at Six Flags Over Texas that I had not ridden yet. So that was my plan. I was gonna go to Six Flags Over Texas, get my 100th coaster credit. Well, this year we did Thanksgiving at my sister's house. I had an extra day, so I went up there a little bit early and I rode my 100th roller coaster of the year. If you had asked me back in June if I thought I was gonna ride 100 roller coasters this year, I would have been like, what? There's no way. Things just kept happening and kept snowballing into this hobby passion. Here I am traveling more and riding more roller coasters, and I'm probably the happiest I've ever been. And this is something that I really want to do. And so I made it my goal to ride 100 roller coasters. I did it and I had a great time doing it. Towards the end of the year, there's this little thing called Wrangler National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas. And Katie works for Wrangler, so she has to go to Vegas for 2 weeks to work. I knew she was out there and I sent her a text message. I was just like, hey, so what if I just booked a flight and came to visit you for a few days in Vegas? She said, come on, let's go. So I found a Frontier flight going to Vegas and booked it for super cheap. Katie had a spare bed in her hotel room. So I've got a hotel room. I've got a flight that's super cheap. Wrangler actually paid for a lot of our taxis and transportation while we were out there. Wrangler had different VIP watch parties for the rodeo every night. So I got a lot of free drinks. You get free drinks when you're gambling on the floor. The hotel gave Katie a certain amount of money per night, per guest, to spend on food and beverage at the hotel. This was the Conrad at Resorts World. It's a 5-star resort, like on the Vegas Strip. Golden elevators, impeccable hotel rooms, like really, really nice. The first night we were in Vegas, Katie booked us tickets to RuPaul's Drag Race Live. I had so much fun at this show. This is actually a replacement fan. The first one that I bought, yeah, you like it? The first fan that I bought, I clacked it so hard during the show that it broke. It just like fell to pieces. During the show, me and Katie were like the loudest people in the audience. This is a drag show, and there's one thing about me: I will be hooting and I will be hollering. So we were pretty much the loudest people in there, and Asia O'Hara heard that, saw that, recognized that, and was like calling us out throughout the whole entire show. And then like during the show, Asia O'Hara and her pit crew boyfriend got in like a little argument during the show, and he walks out into the audience and puts a hand on my shoulder and was like, I'm gonna leave you and go back to Texas with Curtis. I was like, oh Lord. It was great. We had so much fun that night. While I was in Vegas, I took like little $300 and said, this is my gambling money. If that $300 disappears and I lose it all, that's it. No more gambling. Luckily, that didn't happen. I turned that $300 into quite a bit of money. I was able to ball out the whole trip. I bought everything that I wanted to buy. We had nice dinners. I paid for some of our transportation. And one night I asked Katie, I was just like, hey, so are we like able to get tickets to the rodeo? And she said, well, the rodeo has been sold out for like 20 years straight. There's almost impossible to get tickets, but let me ask around. So she asked some of her coworkers who had a friend, who had friends, and this guy offered us what are called gold buckle tickets. So we said, yeah, let's go. We weren't able to sit and watch from the Wrangler suite, but our seats were really close and really good seats anyways. We were able to get some free beers from the Wrangler suite. So we got free beers there. We were sitting on the 4th row, right beside the chute. Every time they let out a bucking bronco or bull, we had to like cover our drinks so we wouldn't get dirt in our drinks. It was so much fun. It was incredible. We got to watch a lot of Texas cowboys and cowgirls get out there and do their thing. And every time somebody from Texas was out there, I was like, let's go. As we were leaving the rodeo, the line to get in taxis was at least 30-minute wait just to get in a taxi. Well, we had a dinner reservation in like 20 minutes. I saw this pedicab over there and he said, Katie, we have to get on the pedicab. The pedicab is available, ready right now. Let's get on it. I guarantee they can get us where we need to go in that time frame. And they did. So we get on this pedicab and we're having a great time and he's trucking it, doing a great job. We get to our destination with plenty of time to make our dinner reservation. And as we're getting off, I'm like, all right, hey man, like how much do you want? What's it gonna cost me? And he said, well, we do $100 per person. So it was $200 to use this pedicab. And I was like, you know what? Fine. We made our dinner reservation, which was really important to Katie. And I was really glad I was able to make that happen. Plus, like I said, I won a bunch of money gambling. So I was just like, you know what? Fine. $200 for a great pedicab ride. Cool, we're good. Also, while I was in Las Vegas, there's this little thing called the Big Apple coaster at New York, New York. It's a pretty unique roller coaster. It is a hyper coaster, which is over 200 feet tall. I had to ride it. There were a couple other coasters, but I just didn't make the time to go do that. I was doing other things. But I did get that credit on the Big Apple coaster at New York, New York. There was some Versace cologne that I had been wanting for a while. We were walking through Caesar's Palace and I had all this money in my pocket that I had just won on these poker games, and we walked right past the Versace store. So I said, let's just dip in here. I want to buy my cologne from the Versace store. It was really cool. I just felt really cool doing it. That last night in Vegas, I actually stayed up all night on the casino floor, gambling and winning more money. I actually ended up winning enough money to reschedule my flight to a later flight. When I originally booked my flights out there, I was just booking like the cheapest thing possible, and my flight home was departing Vegas at 8 a.m., which is miserable if you just went on like a 3-day bender in Vegas. No, I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. So I got on the app and rescheduled my flight back to Austin. Vegas was incredible. I had so much fun. Katie, thank you so much for allowing me to tag along for a few days, and it was great. I love it, and I'm glad that we got to spend that time together. So after I got home from Vegas, I really wanted to go to Holiday in the Park at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, so I made a visit there. Got to experience the tree lighting ceremony, a lot of the cool shows. Be sure to check out my Six Flags Fiesta Texas Holiday in the Park video. Let's run over some stats real quick. I got my LogRide app here. LogRide says that I have 33 trip reports for 16 different parks visited. I rode 231 unique attractions. That's counting roller coasters and flat rides, for a total of 530 experiences. If I rode Scream Drop Tower 10 times, that counts into that 530, but it only counts as one unique attraction. For roller coasters, I rode 103 roller coasters, so I have 103 coaster credits for 2025. The tallest and fastest roller coaster that I rode was Top Thrill 2. It was 125 miles an hour and goes 420 feet in the air on that top hat. I rode about 190 miles worth of roller coaster track. I spent a little over 10 hours riding roller coasters this year. The map on this app has little place markers all over the place, and I literally went coast to coast. I did the Jody Messina, Heads Carolina, Tails California, got a trip in Vegas and Ohio. Let's run over my park visits real quick. April 22nd, I was at Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure. May 20th was Six Flags Fiesta Texas. May 21st, June 10th, June 24th, June 30th, Fiesta Texas. This little section of time goes hard. So June 30th, Six Flags Fiesta Texas. July 1st at Schlitterbahn, New Braunfels. July 6th, Six Flags over Texas. July 8th and 9th, I was at Carowinds, and I went to Carolina Harbor on the 9th. July 16th, July 22nd, Fiesta Texas. 28th and 29th, I did Six Flags Fiesta Texas and Hurricane Harbor San Antonio on both of those days. August 11th and 12th, I was at Cedar Point. August 13th, I was at Kings Island. August 14th, I was at Cedar Point again. August 17th, I was at ZDT's. August 31st, I was at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. September 21st and 22nd, I was at Six Flags Magic Mountain. September 23rd was Knott's Berry Farm and a Los Angeles Angels game. September 24th, I went to Pacific Park. October 9th was SeaWorld San Antonio. October 13th was Six Flags Fiesta Texas. October 23rd, November 6th, SeaWorld San Antonio. November 9th, Six Flags Fiesta Texas. November 25th was Six Flags Over Texas. November 30th was Six Flags Fiesta Texas. December 11th, I was at New York in Las Vegas riding the Big Apple coaster. December 23rd, I was at Six Flags Over Texas. And tomorrow, December 30th, I will be going to Six Flags Fiesta Texas for their New Year's fireworks. And I think that will probably be my last trip to a theme park this year. Pretty much got as much as I could out of the entire year. You might be saying like, that's a lot for 2025. And you're right. Throughout this video, I've described like, this wasn't just roller coasters. This wasn't just theme parks. That was the tool that I used to like bring myself back to life. And with that tool, I was able to experience a ton of other things. I got to hang out with friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. I got to spend some good quality time with friends, bringing them back into my life. I learned a lot of tips and tricks on how to travel on a slightly smaller budget. So I realized that I'm able to do that like pretty much as I want to. I cruised across most of the state of Ohio in a hot pink Barbie Jeep. I had an apple martini at the Abbey in West Hollywood. I got to attend a Los Angeles Angels baseball game. Jimmy Kimmel told me to
Shut the f up.
On national television. I've been to 4 new states for a total of 9 states this year. I met a ton of interesting people along the way. I got kissed by Chrissy, the beluga whale. And honestly, I really feel like I have found myself again. Here I am traveling and going and doing and experiencing things that I've never experienced before, and I love it. I love traveling. I love riding roller coasters, and I'm starting to love making this content for you guys. I had quite a few friends tell me like, man, you should start a YouTube channel, and the one that really like pushed me over that edge was Drew. Drew was like, dude, this is what you should do. This is how you should do it. Like, you could totally do that. And through watching like other YouTubers like Hemisphere and JB Thrills and Coaster Studios, I realized like, I can do that. I can totally do that. So here I am making YouTube content. And I'm hoping that this becomes integrated into my passion for theme parks and roller coasters. So what to expect from my channel in the future? Hopefully, I'm gonna be able to do a lot of talking head videos just like this, deep diving into park reviews. We're gonna have tons of footage from my visits to other theme parks. Coming up, we're gonna have a Six Flags Fiesta Texas review, Over Texas review, SeaWorld San Antonio, Six Flags Magic Mountain, all those parks that I mentioned I visited in 2025. I will be making a detailed park review for those parks. I'm gonna have detailed review videos on individual roller coasters that I've ridden. That series should be starting in early 2026. Now, for 2026, I did renew my Six Flags Prestige Pass, and it did come with an all parks passport, so I still have access to all 40 of those parks. I have my SeaWorld Platinum Pass, which gets me access to 11 parks, including the Busch Gardens. I have a wonderful friend, Chad. Love you, buddy. We'll see you soon. He lives in Orlando and can get me into some parks. So I'm gonna go visit Chad and visit Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, maybe perhaps Epic Universe. We're gonna check out SeaWorld Orlando, and we're gonna visit Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. I have some other trips planned for next year. So my goal for 2026 is to get 150 new roller coaster credits. Stay tuned for that. I have a plan. It's gonna happen. So if you thought my 2025 was crazy, stick around. 2026 is gonna be even bigger. Be sure to check out my video on my future 2026 plans to see where I'm going next year. So I guess that pretty much wraps up my 2025. It was an incredible year. I'm really excited to see what the future brings. So if you want to keep up with me during my 2026 adventures and see detailed reviews about all the parks I visited, all the roller coasters I rode, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you can keep up with everything that I post here on my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching and enjoy the ride.